Hello, Peter.
Okay, we're recording now, so... I didn't get all of that. That was just, But we still got part of it. This could serve as an intro.
Oh, no, it shouldn't.
I think it should.
No, it shouldn't.
We'll get there. What is going on, everybody? It's Brandon, and welcome back to Marotta Media. And today we are doing something we haven't done for a while, guys. I got my buddies Doug and Jonah here, and like I said, guys, it's been a while. It's been what, 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah.
The world had to go to hell for you to let us back on.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Basically.
It took a global pandemic for us to realize what really matters.
Apparently.
Spider-Man movies?
I guess so, yeah. Because obviously that's what we're talking about today. We're going to be having a roundtable discussion on Spider-Man No Way Home. So, guys, we saw this movie finally. When did the last Far From Home come out? Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2019.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we saw it. What'd you guys think of it?
Right.
Okay.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. I'll admit, I actually would, before the movie, I was actually tempering my expectations because I was afraid to go in and be disappointed. And I've been forcing myself to do that more so recently. And going in, I was like, okay, I want this to, when you're just yearning for a movie to just be good.
Mm-hmm.
I was yearning for this movie to be good, but I was so afraid after the absolute disaster that was the marketing for this film, with all the leaks and the spoilers and all that stuff. I was honestly kind of worried that it was gonna make me not enjoy the movie as much as I was hoping to. And it blew my expectations out of the water. It was great. Easily made my top 10 movies of the year for sure. One thing that I really want to note about it is Tom Holland's performance.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's a good actor. I've seen him in other things. He's been a child actor throughout, whatever.
Best movie ever is Chaos Rising.
Chaos Walking.
Oh,
close. It was a lot darker, but it kind of gave a hint as to this film.
Yeah.
Obviously not going into spoilers yet, that's later in the video, but the range, just the sheer range of emotions that he had to portray in this movie, compared especially to the other two Spider-Man movies, as well as his other outings in the MCU, blew it out of the water. I was very, very impressed with his performance.
Doug, what do you think?
I slept halfway through it, so about 8 out of 10. No, 8 out of 10, it was really good.
You're not supposed to give me a rating yet.
Oh, well.
We'll get there. Whatever.
That's fine. Go on.
They're here for your rating. They're not here for mine.
You're the important.
Yeah, but no, it was good. It was a great time, a lot of fun. It was a comic book movie. I said it with Endgame, that felt like a comic book movie. I was wrong. This one feels more like a comic book movie than Endgame. But yeah, I just had a great time. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about the leaks. I didn't care about the spoilers. I just wanted a good time, and that's what I got. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think that's what we all got. Obviously, this movie picks up immediately where Far From Home left off, with Mysterio revealing to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and revealed by J. Jonah Jameson, who I think that took us all by surprise when he was in Far From Home. That was everybody's heads blew up.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it in 2019. I was like, oh wow, they did that.
Yeah, so that
I couldn't believe they brought it back.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, Peter Parker, everybody knows that he is now Spider-Man and has made his life so much more difficult. And as we've seen in the trailer, he goes to Doctor Strange and asks him to reverse everything so no one remembers that he is Spider-Man. And this has some pretty dire consequences.
Some dire consequences.
It does. I mean, I feel if it's in the trailer, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
no, absolutely not.
I mean, they they lead with the whole campaign is all the villains from previous movies are back.
Yeah. So you got Electro and
Doc Ock.
Electro and who else?
From Andrew Garfield's universe, we have Jamie Foxx as Electro, who was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the Lizard played by, how is his name pronounced?
Don't ask me. It begins with an R.
I think his first name's Reese. Ephons, I think. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that.
He
plays
was
Lizard.
Yeah, he was in like Pirate Radio. He's good.
He was in Little Nicky. That's what I remember him most from.
Oh, yeah,
anyway, but he's.
Let's talk about Little Nicky.
But no, he's the Lizard, and he's back
Yeah.
from the first Amazing Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
and then Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, who was in all 3 movies, I believe. wasn't he?
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
And
He appears as like a hallucination and stuff.
and then who am I missing? Oh, Sandman from Spider-Man 3.
Thomas Hayden
And
Church.
all of them are played by the same actors, which was amazing to see.
Oh,
For
yeah.
me personally, when all of those guys showed up, it felt to me like I was kind of transported back in time because I've seen all of the Spider-Man movies.
Well, yeah,
over
we
years.
were kids.
Yeah,
when
like,
this came out.
Yeah, because we were because I was born in '96, so I was 6 years old when the first Spider-Man came out. Came out in 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. You had to do the math in your
I
head,
had to
didn't
do
you?
that because I can do it for myself.
Yeah, but yeah, when that came out in 2002, 04 was Spider-Man 2, and I believe 07 was Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so just seeing all of these guys back on screen, because some of them died
Mm-hmm.
in the previous movies, it just felt so strange, but it also felt very nostalgic and rewarding. Like
It kind of felt comforting.
yeah, when they were back, like I kind
Oddly
of just had like a big smile on my face, like wow, this is like
I was about to
for
say-
lack of a better word, meta.
Yeah,
Like,
because the first villain we see, I don't know, is Doc Ock.
Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
And from the best of the 3 Raimi movies.
100%.
You know, he was in the best movie. So it really felt kind of, I know it's a joke, but it felt like going back to your childhood to watch him be that Doc Ock again.
Yeah.
And something too that I actually noticed was so the way that they reintroduced the villains, right? Because again, obviously, most of the audience has grown up with these villains. Like they know them from these movies. Obviously, not just these movies, but you know they know them as the villains from these movies. Is they reintroduced the ones from Raimi's universe first, and then they brought in Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, and also. Why do I keep blanking on it?
Sandman's?
No, other
Lizard.
one.
Lizard, they
I
actually,
keep forgetting about
Lizard, Electro, and the Sandman were introduced about the same time.
Yeah. Which makes sense though because Sandman was in the third one.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
But I'm also glad that it was Sandman they brought back
Mm-hmm.
and not
Venom.
Not Venom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or James Franco's.
James Franco's new Goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That. No.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have
Sandman
worked.
no, it wouldn't have worked for reasons we will also get to in a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, just seeing all those guys like back but I love that they picked up, you know, where the characters left off because obviously, you know, Green Goblin and Doc Ock both died at the end of the movies that they were the main villain of.
Mhm.
And so when they come back, obviously they don't have any memory that they died
No.
and all they remember is like I'm trying to kill Spider-Man, but at the same time, Sandman, who if everyone remembers, was revealed to be the murderer of Uncle Ben in Spider-Man 3.
Mhm.
And he makes up with Peter at the end because he apologizes to him. And
Yeah.
so with his character, he's like, Peter, it's me. Like, what's going on? I'm here to help you. And I was like, see, details like that because I'm pretty sure some audience members probably just wanted them to all kill him and, you know,
no,
go
but
after him and stuff.
it works.
It does make perfect sense.
Because it works in his sense of character because, you know, like you said, he knows who Peter is. They had that kind of forgiveness moment at the end of the third.
Yeah.
And it works with Tom as well because, like, he doesn't, you know, he's like, hey, Peter, let me help. And Tom has to go, well, I'm actually not. You're Peter.
Yeah.
And then that trust that Sandman has goes right away.
Yeah.
And it makes sense though, but it makes sense plot wise. Like, you understand when he comes in initially as a friend, he sees a Spider-Man, he's like, oh, you're my Spider-Man, like I'm here to help you. And having that immediately ripped away, saying, I'm not your I'm not your Peter, I'm not your Spider-Man. Like, you know, you're in a different universe basically.
Yeah, no, all of them like were equally confused because I remember a theory during when the trailer came out and we see Doc Ock, everybody thought he would be talking to Toby Maguire because, and it was a good theory at the time.
Yeah,
Everyone's if he says hello, Peter, obviously he's not going to recognize Tom Holland, so who would he be talking to? But it's revealed that he had his suit on, so obviously if Doc Ock just sees a person in a Spider-Man suit, he's going to assume it's Peter Parker.
Right.
So that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and actually, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed because I feel like in the past two movies with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he's sort of been like kind of, not fully, but to some extent, a fish out of water.
Mm-hmm.
Like Far From Home, he's obviously not in America. He's in Europe, traveling around, and obviously Homecoming. His first girlfriend.
He's dealing with the aftermath of Civil War.
Aftermath of Civil War.
It was him learning to be Spider-Man
by himself,
not
dependent upon Tony, R.I.P., or the the Avengers or whomever. So
it's got ESPN alert.
It's just my fantasy team. I lost so bad.
Same, dude. So we're in that boat together. But go on.
And it was cool to see those roles reversed, where it was now Tom is sort of in his element as Spider-Man. I mean, obviously he's still sort of a fish out of water because now he's having to deal with everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
But also, these villains are also out of water. They're in a literally different universe.
Yeah,
they have sort of a parallel
kind
of thing. I thought it was pretty cool.
100%, for sure. The main conflict, though, like once Peter, brings all of these villains back to his universe unknowingly, Doctor Strange, he's summoning a spell to send them all back to where they came from.
Right.
And as we know, a lot of their fates, a few of them die, because I believe Electro died too, didn't he?
It's never specifically said. It's never specifically said in The Amazing Spider-Man.
No, but they say it in this movie. They say that, I think it was the Lizard says so. He's like, I think he says that Electro. I don't remember. Right?
Yeah,
yes, he does die.
I think he dies at the end of that movie.
Yes.
But Peter, knowing that at this point, after talking to some of them, he knows that a lot of them die in their respective universes, and he doesn't want to send them back. He wants to save them. And you and I talked about this. We both got a little nervous at this point. I was like, what is he doing here?
Yeah,
I don't really think that's good writing per se. I feel like there's a better way they can do this.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous as well, like you said, especially because obviously going in, if you've seen the trailer, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange fight, and obviously you can see the box that he's holding, and you're like, okay, so how are they going to get to that point? How are they going to get to the point where Doctor Strange and Spider-Man are fighting each other for this device?
Yeah.
And their reasoning, the reasoning behind it, the writing behind Peter's reason for not wanting to do this, I don't feel like it was as strong as it could have been. I feel like there could have been another reason to cause that conflict, if that makes sense. I don't know exactly what it could have been. I'm not a Hollywood writer. I'm not claiming to know better than people, but making Peter's reason of not sending the villains back being his Aunt May telling him, well, the Peter that I know would try to help them.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that. And that's it's not terrible writing. I can sort of understand it, but
the thing is, Aunt May's always been his moral compass, whether it's in the comic books, the movies, the TV show, or the video games. Always, Uncle Ben and Aunt May have been his moral compass. And, if she thinks that, hey, you should save these people, then, of course, Tom's going to want to save them.
Right.
His Peter's going to be like, if my Aunt May thinks it's worth it, it's worth it. And yeah, you guys can feel a little nervous. You think it's a little, weak, and it possibly could be. But I think it's in character for him, in my opinion, because it's Aunt May who's telling him, hey, these are people that are still worth saving.
And I will say, in regards to your point, because I think you make a good point. Also, there's not been any negative consequences yet for Peter. Obviously,
kind of, sort of. Like Tommy died, and that was his.
No. Sorry. I mean,
you mean just in this movie? Okay, I thought you meant just with him throughout the whole timeline.
In this movie specifically, with these specific villains who are not of his world, he does not. He is. I mean, outside of obviously fighting them to contain them. Other than that, there really hasn't been like serious personal consequences yet for him. So it would make sense, I guess, for him to be like, you know what? Maybe I should try to save these people. These people.
Yeah.
Why not save these people?
Yeah. He also doesn't really know what these people did in their respective universes.
That's true.
That's there's also that, like, because Doc Ock tried to absorb the whole city into the power of
The sun in the palm of his hand. He also doesn't know that the Green Goblin blew open Aunt May's house and made her finish the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, yes, that did happen. And he also killed all the board members of Oscorp. These people did some fucked up shit in hindsight. He turned them all to skeletons.
Yeah. Spooky skeletons.
Spooky scary.
Pre-2002 CGI skeletons. Now that's the scariest.
Oh, yeah. But one thing that confused me, though, about all the timelines that the villains came from, because they all said that they all talk about when they realized where they were. Electro's like, I was about to like become pure energy, which is the ending of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Doc Ock's like, I had Spider-Man, I had him right there. So it seems like they all showed up like kind of like toward the ending of their respective movies, and that kind of confused me timeline-wise. I'm like, are they all from the 3 from Toby's universe and the 2 from Andrew's universe? Were they all from different universes? Do you know what I'm saying?
Kinda.
Like, are they all from separate universes of like a similar universe? Because it seems like the timelines don't really add up. Do you know what I mean?
I think I understand what you're saying, and I my response to that would be, I honestly think that obviously for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, there's one timeline, and so I think when the spell was cast and these beings came through, these characters came through, I think it plucked them from the timeline. So same timeline, plucked them from the same timeline.
Yeah,
like
just from a specific moment.
Okay, yeah.
Because Doctor Strange explains, the only reason they're there is because in their universes, they know
that he's Spider-Man.
That Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He says the only reason they're here is because they know Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
And can I just say, I loved that that's why they came into the universe.
Yeah.
Because everyone was curious, how do they get there?
And it's just specifically them. Like, obviously, you're not going to bring a bunch of people in from other universes.
Right, obviously. I thought it was so cool for that to be like, and it makes sense too, because he wants a spell to make everyone forget he's Spider-Man. So the spell goes wrong. What is the opposite effect? Everyone knows he's Spider-Man, and now you're adding people who also know that he's Spider-Man. They just have to be from different universes. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it absolutely. And they all recognize each other. Like on the bridge, when Green Goblin shows up, Doc Ock is like, Osborn? And then I believe when Electro is put into the little jail cell, Lizard is already there, and he's like, Dr. Connors. Yeah. He's like, I know you.
Yeah, I knew you from when I was working at Oscorp.
Yeah, and he did work at Oscorp. I forgot about that, when he had a gap in his teeth and a comb over, which they make reference to. So I do like the self-referential humor.
Oh, yeah. So, at least in this film, they're like, hey, we have Jamie Foxx. Let's make him Jamie Foxx.
Yes. And they also haven't missed a beat.
No.
Like Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe is great in everything he's in, but Alfred Molina was fantastic. They all did a really good job.
Even, again, I know I keep forgetting him, but the Lizard, too. Like, even though he was such a small part, I still think he did fairly well. Coming in, 100%. So long after he played the character.
Yeah, it really is like riding a bike, because it's been years, like it's been over a decade since Alfred Molina played Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe played Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, Willem Dafoe's coming on like 2 decades.
And I'm sure some people know this, but he did not want to do this movie unless he did his own stunts.
I thought it was so
and the man,
I
believe the man is 66 years old.
He is 66 years old, and there are some stunts in that movie that I was like, even now, I don't think.
Okay, so I think we've discussed everything that we have to say non-spoilery, because we all agree we can't get into our extended thoughts about this movie without getting into spoilers. So if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, then
leave.
That too. The big reveal is that Toby Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in fact in this movie. After months, I think we all saw this coming.
Oh yeah.
Me personally, I was sort of evil, and I was hoping neither of them would be in the movie, just because I wanted to see people get mad.
You wanted to see 6-year-old Fortnite fans
cry.
So
I wanted to.
And unfortunately, they came back.
Yeah, I wanted to see people get really upset, but they're both in the movie, and I mean, even though a lot of us saw it coming. Some of us got it spoiled for us. It's still it's all good because that's what I was gonna say because it still felt amazing. Just
that's
seeing
the thing
them.
is we knew it was coming, or we felt like it was coming. We didn't know because
you never know.
Sony and Marvel had a big fight over whether to show them or not, and that's why the marketing failed. Well. We thought it failed. The movie just made $265 million.
But even the actor, I think Tom Holland said they weren't in it. Andrew Garfield himself said they weren't. I mean, obviously they had to
I wouldn't
lie.
say it if Kevin Feige's just standing on the side of the
They definitely had to lie,
but
but at the time I was still kind of inclined to believe them. I was like, I was like, if they're not in it, they're not in it. Who cares? But
they're in it, and like we said with the villains. They didn't miss a beat.
No,
it was like they've always been doing this.
Yeah,
especially I figured Andrew was gonna have no problem. I thought he would just be like, I did this 7 years ago. It's like popping on an old
14,
sweater.
I think, something like that.
Yeah, Toby was the one I was worried about because he really hasn't acted that much since.
He's been in some stuff.
He does a lot more independent.
Yeah, I remember.
It's also few and far between.
I remember the last things he was in The Great Gatsby and
I was about to say the last two big movies.
Pawn Sacrifice. I never saw. I think it was about chess. I know he was in that.
Chess.
Yeah.
The last two big movies he was in was The Great Gatsby and The First Boss Baby.
He was in The Boss Baby?
Yeah, he was the narrator of The First Boss Baby.
Oh, I never saw The Boss Baby.
Those were like his last two big Hollywood
Oscar-nominated The Boss Baby. But yeah, I get what you mean, because as soon as they showed up, though, you're just like, okay, they're here.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
And both, speaking of people who haven't aged, neither of them have. But yeah, but all of them still look exactly the same. I mean, Andrew Garfield's one of the biggest names.
I mean, he had an amazing year already before he...
Yeah, like being in movies like Tick, Tick, Boom, which was also fantastic. But yeah, like you said, neither of them missed anything. They were both great. I always said, though, I thought Toby was a better Peter Parker, and I thought Andrew was a better Spider-Man. Because Toby had like that innocence and that
Toby
intelligence
was
of
a
Peter
nerd.
Parker.
He was a nerd.
Yeah, but in the Spider-Man, like he was a good Spider-Man. Not saying he was bad, but he didn't have that sarcasm. But
again,
Andrew
he was too sweet.
Yeah,
for that.
but Andrew had that. But he was an asshole of a Peter Parker and just disobeyed everybody, got people kicked out of places. That's why I didn't think he was a good Peter Parker.
Killed Dennis Leary.
Yeah,
that too.
And the thing too. And by the way, just full disclosure, I squealed like a little girl when.
So did everybody else.
Yeah, I know. But like,
I didn't squeal when Andrew came out. When Toby came out, however, I was like, yeah.
I was so happy to see them back in this role, but I 100% agree with what you said, and I always thought, even when the movies first came out, that Andrew Garfield was too good looking to be Peter Parker. Like, I'm sorry, but he's a good looking dude, and like, he's like tall, and I just always imagined Peter Parker as kind of like this scrawny, like skinny nerd,
like Toby,
like Toby.
Yeah, because
perfect example.
In 2002, I doubt any girl looked at Toby Maguire and said like, "Wow, he's hot."
Yeah, no, there's no way.
No.
But Andrew Garfield obviously had that.
Yeah,
but again,
he's
he brought the sarcasm, he brought the quips, he brought the joking around in the middle of the fight, 100%. And I loved that. And again, their re-entry, if you would, into their Spider-Man characters, I thought was great. And with Andrew Garfield like kind of bantering with Ned and MJ, Michelle Jones Watson, but doesn't like Watson because
that is right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
MJ, and then Toby is a little more serious, a little more kind of like grown up.
Because he's more seasoned.
He's an older Spider-Man. So. I thought it was so perfect. I thought it was so well done.
They have a lot of fun with it. Like when Andrew first shows up, like Ned's grandma's like, get that cobweb off the corner of the ceiling.
Yeah, because he's trying to prove to
that he is Spider-Man. Yeah. But what made me nervous, I was like, okay, they're both in it, that's confirmed, but like, are they going to actually serve a purpose, or are they just here for fan service? And they weren't. I mean, yes, they were there for fan service, of course, but they did serve a purpose in the overall narrative of the story, and that was to guide
the other big cameo.
Yeah, and that was like we'll get to that.
I'll get to that, but like I'm gonna call some stuff out.
But they guide Tom Holland's Peter Parker because another big spoiler is that Aunt May dies.
Oh.
Big dies.
Like not coming back dies.
Yeah, like she's dead.
Dude,
and
I will admit I teared up. I didn't cry, but I teared up.
You guys cried?
But
I was about to say, even I didn't tear up, and I cried at Space Jam.
Yes.
Somehow
Bugs Bunny made me cry more than Aunt May.
That is a sad statement, my friend.
My life is sad.
Anyways, continue.
I'm never gonna let you live that.
No, please.
That's why I had to put it here.
That movie was so awful. Fuck you, LeBron James. But anyway, but yeah, Aunt May dies, and like you said, Tom Holland Peter, I should say, hasn't really suffered like a loss like that because Tony died and that was his mentor, but Aunt May is his blood.
Yeah.
And so he hasn't really lost anyone like that.
And we haven't met this universe's Uncle Ben.
Well, no, we haven't.
Well, actually, was there an Uncle Ben in this universe? Because they've never specifically
That is also true because there were Uncle Bens in both Andrew and Toby's universes.
I've heard that like the suitcase he takes to Europe, it supposedly has Ben's initials on it.
But that doesn't.
But it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah. So for all we know, there might not be an Uncle Ben in this universe.
Yeah.
Until they do.
But
at the new series on Disney Plus.
Yeah, but when this happens, though, Peter's just ready to give up, and at this point he's also
ready for murder.
Yes, but he doesn't know, which is a stark contrast to where he started. But he doesn't know that Andrew and Toby have shown up in this universe, and when they find him on that rooftop, and I love that they have kind of like that instinct because both of them, both Andrew and Toby Spider-Mans, they both have places they go to when they just need to think. And I can't remember who it was, if it was Andrew or Toby, but they're like, where would he go? Where would he go if he needed to be alone and have some time by himself?
Yeah.
And they know that he has a place like that because they are him.
Yeah.
And when they get there, they're like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "My Aunt May's dead." And he's like, "Well, yeah, dude. Like we've all lost people. Like I lost my Uncle Ben. I lost my Uncle Ben, and Andrew and also Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield's universe."
Dude, and
that got me.
I gotta say, when he starts talking about losing Gwen, he's like just you can see just how great of an actor Andrew Garfield is. He has really come into his own as an actor, just in terms of skill.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about my universe's MJ, and when he goes into about how, in that moment he was so angry and so bitter, and that has defined him as Spider-Man. After that fact, he's like, I don't pull punches anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I stopped pulling my punches, and I was like, I was like, yes, thank you. You're a human being. You're not just a comic book character where your girlfriend dies in one issue, the next issue like la da da, like whatever.
Yeah,
like no, like you have emotions, you feel things.
Yeah.
Like thank you.
And Toby did the same thing. He went after the guy who he thought killed Uncle Ben and killed him inadvertently. I mean, it technically wasn't his fault, but still he caused it.
Yeah.
And so they both of them have done horrible things, and they both want Tom Holland to learn from the things that they experienced.
Yeah.
And that's probably what I loved most about No Way Home was Peter's story arc.
Oh,
like
definitely.
where he started as a kid who's just had his huge secret revealed to the world, and he doesn't really know how to act, so he tries to do the unthinkable to reverse it, and he does everything he can to try to save everybody, and he realizes that's not going to happen. What I was thinking of in that moment was there was a line in Into the Spider-Verse from Spider-Ham. There's a line he says when Miles, goes back to his apartment, and Spider-Ham says, Miles, the hardest part about this job is that you can't save everybody. Yeah. And that's the line that was ringing in my head throughout the entire sequence when all three Spider-Men are talking to each other about their losses. And I'm like, it really does all come full circle.
Yeah, because Peter was successful because he goes and tries to save the 5 villains, and he was successful with Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Otto Octavius is back. He's no longer under the.
He now controls the arms
and himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, where have I been? And then they're like, okay, it works. And so they're getting ready to cure Electro.
Yeah.
And that's when the Green Goblin truly comes back.
Yeah.
Because in the film, it's just been Norman Osborn.
Yeah, for the most part.
But it's like an alter ego.
Yeah.
It's like a second him taking over.
Yeah. And that's when we made the joke when Willem Dafoe is literally throwing Tom Holland through walls and floors. That's when I was like, he's not fond of his lobster.
Still amazing of Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem
those
Dafoe
things.
is 66 years old and is throwing Tom Holland through walls like he's from the WWE.
Yeah.
He's an incredible actor.
And he's the one who, unfortunately, kills Aunt May with the glider.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that Peter is able to, he has that moment of, okay, I can save them.
Mm-hmm.
I saved one, I can save them all.
Mm-hmm.
And that unfortunately comes with what you said.
Mm-hmm.
He had to realize he truly couldn't save them all.
Yeah.
He got that one victory, but what did it lead to? His aunt's gone.
Yeah.
All of them are now scattered to the wind, and he just got the beating of his life. Because think about all the fights he's had. When has he ever gotten his ass kicked?
Well, it's kind of in Homecoming he did almost get crushed.
Yeah, but that's when he was starting as Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He's now fought Thanos.
He has experience.
He's fought Mysterio. He's fought Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When has he ever truly gotten his bell rung?
Yeah.
And he's now gotten his bell rung.
Yeah. Well, not just physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But like you said, when they make Doc Ock good again by putting that chip back, because if you remember from Spider-Man 2, the chip broke and then the arms had control of him.
Yeah.
And they put it back and because he's a good guy and he always was, he just became evil because
I was about to
arms took
say, the
hold of
Raimi
him.
movies, the villains are good guys.
Yes.
But the scientific experiments they did to themselves is why. Like
But
the serum with Norman, the chip with Doc Ock, and then the Sandman falling into the super collider on the run.
Even though he's not in it, even Topher Grace's Eddie Brock, he was just he kind of was a good guy. Well, yeah, but I mean, but at the same time,
only wanted Peter Parker dead.
But he did ruin his life when it wasn't really.
Remember when Peter has Venom in?
Yeah, but
Yeah, I get what you mean though. I forgot about some things because it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do love though that Doc Ock was good again, and he ended up helping out in the end because that's also a good redemption. Even though Spider-Man 2 had great redemption for his characters, this is also great too because it further adds
and it leads to my favorite scene of the whole movie.
And what was that?
That was when Toby and Alfred have their one scene together. They only have one scene together.
Oh, Alfred Molina. I was like, who's Alfred? It's like Batman.
No, it's when they have that scene. And, it starts off with that line, the power of the sun, as he's holding the arc reactor. And Peter just goes in the palm of your hand. And Doc's like, that's my Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he takes off the mask and he goes, Peter, my boy, you've grown up.
Yeah, he's like, you've grown up.
I'm like, I'm going to cry, man.
But it does lead, to this, obviously, this eventual big battle at the Statue of Liberty, which is being constructed with a Captain America shield. Was that discussed in something previous? I don't remember that.
I think no, it wasn't because I'm trying to think back to Falcon, and it wasn't brought up.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember that ever being brought up.
And I haven't seen any of the Hawkeye yet. So
I haven't either. So maybe it was brought up in there, but I'm not sure.
Hawkeye takes place a year after Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
After No Way Home?
After No Way Home.
Oh, okay. But yes, so we have this eventual battle between all of them. They're fighting at the Statue of Liberty, and eventually, just to make a long story short, all of them are cured, but Green Goblin is the last one, and it's just Willem Dafoe and Tom Holland, and being so full of vengeance, Tom Holland just starts wailing on him, and he's on the verge of killing him.
And Willem Dafoe is so great in that moment because he's not Norman, he's the Goblin, and he's taking pleasure in it.
Yes. 100%.
He's like, what does he say? Sometimes.
Oh, he says, "My boy, you're doing great."
Yeah, something, and you're just like.
I was like, "Woo!"
Peter's playing checkers Green
Goblin's playing
4D
chess.
Yeah. He grabs his glider, doesn't he?
He grabs the glider with the...
He's gonna stab Goblin with the glider.
Yes.
Yeah. And he brings it down, and then Toby Maguire Spider-Man catches it and prevents, and he's like dead eye to eye.
Which was also kind of a nice callback because, Willem Dafoe died by his own glider in the first Spider-Man. And, I mean, Toby didn't cause it.
Yeah.
He just jumped out of the way.
Yeah, but he... So that seemed like a nice callback to that moment. Like,
definitely.
Not to die by his own glider.
And then Green Goblin stabs Spider-Man.
Yes, that does happen. And you're like, oh,
you're like, another death?
Like, is Toby gonna die too? Like, I can't handle
I'm starting
this.
to grab my stuff. I'm like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I can't handle all this if that happens. But honestly, what happened? What happens that he decides not to?
Yeah, he decides that...
Oh, no, he cures him. He cures him. That's what happens.
Because Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, throws the serum to Tom Holland. Tom Holland stabs him in the neck with the serum, and he becomes Norman Osborn.
Yeah. And then, like, all of them are normal again, and...
Spider-Man doesn't die, by the way. Just Tobey Maguire does...
Yeah, he even jokes about it. He jokes about it. He says, like, this isn't the first time I've been stabbed, so...
No, and real quick, before we start to wrap things up, I was surprised by how good the chemistry was between the three of them.
Between all three of them, yeah.
And let me also add, just between Toby and Andrew alone, because they have a few scenes just the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
The scene when he's trying to crack his back.
Yeah. And then the scene, to wrap it up, the ending of the movie is the original spell cannot be put into place.
Yeah.
They have to create a new spell, and instead of the world forgets Peter Parker as Spider-Man.
Except for his loved ones.
Yeah. He just says, what if the world forgets Peter Parker in general?
Yeah, and Doctor Strange is like, yes, that should do it.
Yeah, and then you have the moment where he says the goodbyes to MJ and Ned.
And that's what got me the most.
Yeah.
Like when he's saying goodbye, when he's saying goodbye to them, because like these people are going to forget him, and
the secret handshake. That is what got me.
I mean, that's personally like I guess that's personally like a fear of mine, just like losing people, not due to death, just like moving on. That I think that's something we all fear.
Yeah.
But that moment got me the most. He's saying goodbye to them, and then like the spell is cast because there's cracks all in the sky, and I think there might have been some Easter eggs.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure one of the silhouettes I saw in the sky was
Craven.
Oh no, I saw
one was Craven.
I'm pretty sure I saw Paul Giamatti's Rhino.
I don't know if it was his Rhino, but there was.
I'm pretty sure I could be
there was
wrong.
also Scorpion.
Yeah,
Scorpion was there too.
Yeah.
But when he says goodbye to to Toby and Andrew, when he leaves, Toby and Andrew have a nice little like 2-line thing where he talks about being stabbed, and Andrew just goes, "You are in incredible pain," and Toby just goes, "Yeah, I am." And I was like, "That's perfect."
But then all the villains, and Toby and Andrew, they just fade away into their own respective universes, and at this point, it's a year later.
I think just like a week or
because it is Christmas time. So and I don't remember like
it was around. So it was originally around Halloween.
Yeah,
remember that's
it is definitely not a year later.
Oh, so it sounds like 2 months.
Yeah, it was a short time afterwards, but Peter goes to a coffee house that MJ works at.
Yeah.
He sees Ned and MJ there because we didn't talk about this, but earlier in the movie they're all applying to MIT, and none of them get in because they're all connected to Spider-Man since they know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker now, and obviously neither of them recognize him, and he has a speech prepared to introduce himself and everything. And both of them, when he walks in, got into MIT. And they're both really excited for it. And this, to me, was the cherry on top of Peter's character development.
Exactly.
Because he chooses not to tell them who he is.
And that is pure Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think...
Self-sacrifice.
It was my brother-in-law who said he went into the movie, he just wanted Spider-Man to be broke. Because that's how he is in the comic. He's always looking for work. He's always trying to make rent. He's always, hustling and struggling while being Spider-Man and saving people, but also trying to live as Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And you finally, like, we're at that point now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what makes me so excited for this next trilogy that's been announced. Because Peter in college, like, that is pure comic book. Like, it is going to be so good. I am so excited. And I 100% agree with you. It was a perfect cherry on top. I teared up at that point, too. Because that was, as soon as he put the note in his pocket, I was just like,
even though it was painful and like there was a part of me like, no, dude, don't do that. I was like, that is the right thing to do.
Yeah, and it completed his character.
Yeah, and that's why I love the character development of Peter so much, because this is definitely the most he's grown throughout the whole movie.
Oh, absolutely.
And he goes back to Aunt May's apartment, which is now empty. Where that was her apartment.
No,
right?
that was his own.
Oh, I thought that was her apartment.
No, he found his own apartment.
Okay, but yeah, it's empty. He's living by himself, but he continues to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's what happens in No Way Home, and I thought it was a brilliant ending, honestly.
Oh no, it's perfect.
And then we do have, real quick, the mid-credit scene.
Also, we forgot.
What?
Daredevil.
Yeah. So,
Oh yes, that is something I did not expect. Charlie Cox as Daredevil is in the movie. If you've seen the Daredevil TV show on Netflix,
he's a really good lawyer.
Yeah, he's a really good lawyer. And I could tell that some people in the audience definitely did not know who he was.
No. Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty obvious. But
No.
I mean, we've all watched the show. It's a great show.
Mm-hmm.
And he serves a quick, it's a nice little cameo. He serves whatever he's doing that scene.
Yeah.
He's Daredevil. Or he's Matt Murdock in the scene, but it feels like he's always been there.
And I'm excited to see the future of that friendship.
Yeah, that'll be
that
cool.
Is like they're two of the closest.
Yeah, that'll be really nice. But then, as you wanted to get into, Doug, there is the throwaway cameo.
Not just a throwaway cameo. It is a 2-movie throwaway cameo, if you think about it. So the mid-credit scene is Eddie Brock from the Venom movies in the MCU. Learning about the MCU from some bartender
in Mexico. Because that's how Venom Let There Be Carnage, and they were in Mexico.
Yeah, and
terrible movie.
And that movie ends with him being put into the MCU. This movie ends with the MCU throwing him back.
Yes.
And it was a funny scene.
It was funny. It was fun.
But
Tom Hardy's great. Has some fun. They set up the Venom goo.
Yeah, because there's a little piece of the symbiote left behind, but other than that, like, what was the point?
That's exactly
what was the point.
Why? It makes no sense. Because now it's just going to lead to more confusion.
Yeah.
Because you have Morbius coming up, and in that movie you see a picture of Maguire's Spider-Man with murderer written over it. You have him making references to Venom, and you have
also
Vulture.
Michael Keaton is in it as
Yeah,
Vulture.
so that
it's really strange. I just don't understand what the point was if they weren't going to do anything.
No, and I didn't expect him to show up in the movie, but I figured that their thing with him would be something.
He shows up in New York.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah,
like
something.
That.
But no, it was a complete wasted opportunity, I think. As much as I don't like the Venom movies, I thought the first one was mediocre, and the second one which I reviewed, was just a piece of shit.
And you can find it down here.
Yes, you can. I will link it. But yeah, that movie was awful, and I was like, when they linked them, I was not for that, and obviously, I guess we were right, because it led to absolutely nothing. Yeah, but other than that, like, it was, Spider-Man No Way Home was, I think, a pretty phenomenal movie.
It was the best out of the 3 MCU.
Yes, I agree with that.
Still not the best Spider-Man.
Yes, 100%. My first, either Spider-Verse or Spider-Man 2 for me are definitely at the top. You guys?
I would say Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse is like top notch.
I need to go back and watch Spider-Man 2 just because it's been so long since I've seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. But more than likely, it's going to be in the Spider-Verse.
But yeah, the Spider-Verse is that's top tier. So is Spider-Man 2. But so we're at the end now. So what would you guys rate No Way Home?
8 out of 10. People found their way home, so I'm a little upset.
We were in the same page. We talked about it when it ended, but I would also give it an 8 out of 10. I mean, there were some problems that I had with it that I discussed, but it was still a great experience. Great seeing all these characters in one movie together. It just made you feel like a kid again, and I really enjoyed it. But yes, absolutely not the best Spider-Man movie, but a really great Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, my rating is a little more generous. I went with a 9 out of 10. The issues that I had with the film were really, to be honest, kind of nitpicky. Like we said before, halfway through I was a little worried, but those worries were very quickly put to rest, thank goodness. And so I thought it's easily for me. I'm gonna go brave. I'm gonna say it's in the top 3 best Spider-Man.
I can see that.
I would argue.
I probably have to just.
I would
watch
say
all
it's
of
in
them
my
again.
top 3 too, but it would be.
Yeah, the 2 I mentioned, those are my top 2. This one might be number 3. I'd have to watch them all again, but real quick though, before we end things, just our theater experience.
Oh my! It was awful.
Okay, I know you people are excited, but please
shut up.
Just
man.
don't scream throughout the whole thing. I'm trying to watch.
Let me rephrase this. I don't mind the occasional cheer, like when Endgame happened and Captain America grabs the hammer. Very cheerworthy. When Andrew and Toby come in, cheerworthy.
No, yes.
You know what's not cheerworthy? When MJ falls.
Oh yeah, we
and
didn't discuss that. But but good redemption for Andrew Garfield's character saving MJ. But we've already moved on. But yes, just in a theater, like I get you're excited, you want to cheer, but don't cheer so long to the point where you can't hear what's being said.
Exactly.
Please.
And the guy sitting behind my wife and I was the one who yelled during when MJ falls. MJ's dead. For the entire theater to hear. I was so pissed off, and that was the first time him and his kid would not shut up.
If you didn't get a reference, you sure were going to.
Yeah. This guy, he wanted.
And not just that, the worst part was everybody's conditioned now. Marvel movies, they have credit scenes.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Yeah,
everyone knows that.
And the people that don't, they just get up
They
and
just
leave.
They just leave. They can do what they want.
And nobody needs you to say, guys, you gotta stay. Remember, there's credit scenes.
In this case, it was a trailer for the next Doctor Strange movie, which
you can find on YouTube.
Which looks awesome, by the way.
God,
but yeah, just don't be an obnoxious asshole. That's basically it.
Just act your age. It's we're all there to enjoy the movie. We're all going to enjoy the movie as long as it's well made.
Or just shut up.
Don't be an a-hole. It's very simple.
And make sure you're feeling all right, because I'm pretty sure someone in the back
they did.
Yeah,
within the first
vomited like at the beginning of the movie. I'm pretty sure.
Not good.
Like we all thought someone was dying.
I held my feet up the entire movie.
But yeah, so that's the last, I think, tangent we were going to end on.
Yep.
So I think we've said everything that we have wanted to say. So I guess if you guys liked Spider-Man No Way Home, let us know what you thought about it and comment down below. And I will link my other reviews on the side over here. If you like this review, what do?
Like, share, and subscribe.
There you go.
And comment.
Add that too.
We just said all.
But other than that, hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day. And we'll see you next time.
If we ever get back together.
That is also very true, right? I mean,
I hate you guys.
We said we were going to do
I
it
don't know
for
why
Rise of Skywalker. And what did we do?
we did
I
say
was
that.
promised alcohol, and it has not happened.
Well,
Grab the shelf.
goodbye.